First of all, we'll start with an update on Chad. Looks like it was some sort of Achilles sort of thing like that. Just an update on how he's going.
Yeah, lower leg injury. Obviously looked pretty significant at the time and got carried off. He's been in such great form, so it's really sad for him. We don't know the extent of it at this stage, and it's a challenging one for all the boys because I think everyone's really happy about the win, and then obviously we're all feeling for Chad. And I guess we'll wait and see what the medical update is in a couple of days.
In terms of just managing the game, your last game down here against Adelaide was a close loss that you had, and now coming into this game, a few months later, do you feel like your side is now better at managing these close game moments?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a fair bit of work on it just in the last couple of weeks. We certainly are nowhere near a finished product when it comes to close games. We lost one where we just couldn't handle the pressure of the game, and we weren't well planned enough against Richmond a few weeks ago. And I think off the back of that, we just got a couple of things in place, and we've been able to utilise them a couple of times over the last month. And the boys, it felt like a long way out to be chipping it around. There was too long left for it, really. But they had all the momentum, and they'd kicked a couple in a row, and we really knew we needed to try and hold off momentum, and we were able to do it for just long enough, really.
That third term, obviously, kicking 2 goals and not allowing them to score at all into that breeze. I mean, looking back, that's obviously where the game was won, wasn't it? With your pressure, which was really increased in that term as well.
Yeah, it was a game that ebbed and flowed. I think the Bulldogs, they're so consistent with how they pressure the game, and they don't ever let up. It's very difficult to get a run on against them because they're so consistent in their contest work. And they jumped us. I think they kicked 3 goals too before we'd ever looked like it. So from that point on, I thought the game we were able to manage momentum fairly well. The third quarter, they had a little bit of a breeze. I didn't think you could certainly score into it. It wasn't, but we were able to control the ball a little bit more and keep them honest. But their defence held up pretty well, and we weren't able to put them away at any stage, despite having long periods of possession. I think at one stage it was 160 possessions to 60 in the second half, and but we just couldn't turn that into scoreboard pressure. So we've got a bit of work to do on our efficiency going forward, but the consistency of our work rate held up in the end.
How much of the guys relishing, I guess, being the party peepers a little bit in a sense last week, obviously this week, you're playing a major role in the makeup of that top 8, and has that been a real motivation for the guys?
To be honest, we haven't mentioned that at all. I think we're on our own journey, and I think most of us are a bit disappointed that the season's going to come to an end for us. Feel like we're finally sort of finding our way, but we know we've got an enormous challenge in front of us in the long term. As well as in 7 days' time. So, earlier in the year we beat St Kilda, then beat Brisbane, and then we got blown away in the next 2 games. So we've beaten Collingwood and then the Bulldogs, but that's we come up against Melbourne next week, and we haven't proven that we can play consistently high-level football. We've done it for 2 games in a row, but can we do it for another 2 in these last 2 games of the season for us? So, it doesn't get any easier coming up against the D's next week.
Is that a really good sign? I think you did back up, last week against Collingwood with this effort today.
Yeah, I think one of the positives out of this game was, we played Collingwood, and it was a prettier win. It was a higher scoring game. We really had some great highlights out of it, and I think this game we had to win in a messy, fighting. There was just so much going on in the game, and none of it was really pretty. It was all just a big scrap and a fight. I think we only kicked 9 goals, all individual goal kickers. So from a highlights point of view, there's going to be a few individual moments, but it wasn't a game that was really high scoring. And the fact that those 2 games contrasted each other so heavily, I think, is one positive for the group to take away.
Is that part of your evolution as a team, to sort of have those different types of wins?
Yeah, I look regularly at the best teams in the competition, like all of us do, and they can win games in lots of different ways. They can win it by stoppage dominance, they can win it from full ground transitions, they can win it in a fight, they can win it in open play, and it doesn't matter on rain or sun, it doesn't really matter. And I think one of the challenges for us is we haven't been consistent through enough phases of games, and that's why we're 16th on the ladder. So our best is we're seeing it a bit more often, but still not consistently enough.
And obviously, Jai Newcombe had a pretty outrageous game today. It's easy to forget he's only played 50 games of AFL football. Just what do you feel like he brings in, not just today, but just overall with the squad?
Yeah, I think Jai's a good example of what we're sort of built from. A lot of our players are, mid-season draft picks, and that level of desire and commitment that he brings is indicative of what the whole group brings. And we probably lacked it a little bit early in the game today, and we just didn't have that energy and spark in that early phase, and the Bulldogs were able to get in front of us pretty comfortably. But I thought I think we had some really key players in key moments. I thought Jai was obviously significant, had a couple of key players, but I thought Will Day, again, his controlling of the ball, mainly in front of the ball today as a forward, and I thought James Sicily's role, he was getting sat on by two different players, and then he had West and Lob, and for him to have such a significant influence on the game while getting defended himself, I think those players are significant in the impact that happens in the game when you only win it by less than a goal.
Back-to-back wins, I think, for the first time this year, and you say, you're hopefully wishing that the season isn't ending now, but it must be satisfying that, hopefully going into next year with a lot of confidence built within the team that what the journey is doing at the moment is working going into next year.
Well, I think internally we've got confidence in the journey we're on, and we know there's been some bumps in the road, and there's going to be a lot more. We won two in a row early in the year and then got blown away in the next two. So there's still 2 games to go. And for us, coming up against the D's, they had a heartbreaking loss last night, but they're going to be, really up for the fight, and they're fighting for a lot in the last 2 games for their season, and we're on our own journey, making sure that we can take confidence into next year. But we probably don't zoom out too much until we get to after the Dockers game in 2 weeks.
Just another quick one on Chad. I guess being 30 years old, also like you said, he's come back with 2 really good games before today. Like, do you feel like he's got if it is a long-term injury, do you feel like he's got the real drive and to really come back and come back to AFL level again?
Oh, I mean, Chad, his last 6 weeks have been really, really good footy. He's played some fantastic footy. He's kept us in games and helped us win the last week in particular. So, I mean, I don't know what the injury looks like, and I mean, he's still, coming to terms with whatever it is. So we'll assess that through the week and see how we go. But at the moment, he's just one of our boys, and we've got to wrap our arms around him, make sure he's feeling the love from everyone else. And, but injuries are a part of the game that no one likes, but they're a reality, and he'll be able to deal with that.
Thanks.
Thank you.